Assalamu alaikum. I promised myself that no matter what I say in this video, I'm going to put it up. So if you're seeing it, then I haven't chickened out. And if you're not, then of course I've chickened out, and it doesn't matter. I don't say a lot in my speeches, but this one is a bit closer to my heart, if you want to say it that way. I want to ask you a question, and I want to tell you a couple of stories, inshallah. First of all, this video is going to be a little bit longer than my recent 3-4 minute deals. So buckle your seatbelts, inshallah, for a little while. It's not going to be like hours, maybe 10-15 minutes. I'm not sure. I guess I'll know when it's done, but it's going to be a bit longer than my recent ones. I would encourage you, before I start, click the donate button, support what I'm doing. You're going to get a bit more of an insight as to why I do it after this video, inshallah. But do that. The GoFundMe page should be there. The PayPal link should be there. Please support those. And you're going to find out why I do what I do after this video. You'll know a little bit more about me, and I'm very private generally. So I'm letting you in, and I'm kind of stalling a little bit because I'm trying to find the right words to tell you guys. Okay. I want to ask you a question. If you were in a burning building, wala'udhu billah, may Allah protect you from that. If you were in a burning building and you were running through the building, and every exit you looked, there was fire, and you were running through this building and you couldn't find a way out, and you were looking at every exit, and every exit that you found anyway had, flames were there and smoke was there and all this other stuff was there, and you just could not find your way out of that. How would you feel? Scared? Maybe terrified? You have nowhere you're running. You're just running aimlessly through. Now, what if you added the fact that you couldn't see to that? So now you're running through this building and you're blind, and you're trying to get your way out of this building, and it's a fire building, and you're not being burned yet, but everywhere around you there's fire, and you're running and running and running. And all of a sudden someone comes seemingly out of nowhere and proverbially takes you out of that burning, or shows you actually how to get out of that building. Shows you a way to get out of that building. How grateful would you be to that person? How unimaginatively grateful would you be to that person who did that for you? I want to tell you a little bit about when I was growing up. Quote unquote black people have always been kind of taking care of me. From the time I was 8-9 years old until now, even, black folks have always been taking care of me, quote unquote. Whether it be African Americans, African Canadians, Africans themselves, black folks have always been taking care of me. When I was 8 or 9 years old, I went to a sighted school, right? I was the only blind kid in the whole school. You go to a school and I'm not scared, like I wasn't really afraid of that, but it is kind of overwhelming, right? Because I don't lack confidence. I probably should have a little less. But these kids, out of nowhere, they kind of befriended me. They took me under their wings, so to speak, and took care of me, and I ran with them. And now, I don't know who told me. I don't know if it was a white kid or those kids came and told me, and he said, we're black, right? And honestly, wallahi, I'm telling you, I didn't know what black meant. So I think I said something like, well, so am I. Because I thought that that was the name of the group. This is the black group. So I'm part of the group. So I want to be part of the black group. But then they laughed. So I thought, okay, I either said something wrong, or I'm going to figure out what's going on later. So I went home and I asked my mom. And I said, what's black? Again, I asked my mom what blind was, and she said, you're not blind, you just can't see. So I thought, okay, I asked my mom, I said, what is black? What does it mean to be black? Because the people that I'm hanging out with, they're black, apparently, according to what they told me. And she said, there are lots of different people from lots of different places. And those people don't look the same. So she said there are people who are white, and there are people who are brown, and there are people who are, a little bit lighter and a little bit darker, and there are people who are from all these different places. So the friends that you have, they are black, according to what you've been told. So I didn't really care. I'm like, they're my friends, and that's it. And my mom didn't care either. It was never an issue in my house, because we were like, we're trailer park people, but we're not racists in my house. We never had a racism in my house like that. So no one ever, why are you hanging out with those black people? I never had that issue in my house. I had that issue in my school. Police would stop me randomly with them, and I would catch hell because I was hanging out with my friends, and I was the only white kid with them. So it was what it was. We ran together. We wrestled together. We played together. We stayed at each other's houses together. I went to their churches. Sang a lot better than the Catholic churches I grew up in. We wasn't Christians like that, but we went to churches when it was necessary and stuff. So I went there with them, and I hung out with them, and they were my brothers, quite literally, and that's how I looked at it, and that's how they treated me, and I never had any issues with that, ever. And that didn't stop in school. It went all the way through until now, and I'm still like that. Still, black folks are taking care of me. A black woman taught me how to be a husband. So, in my quest to learn more about my friends, I started to read. And I started to read, and I asked actually a teacher. I want to get back to the reading part in a second, but in high school, I had a black cultural teacher. That was the teacher in my, he was a black cultural teacher in my school. And they had a trip that was planned to Philadelphia from Nova Scotia. So I was the only white kid in the bus, full of 50 people. I had about 48, 49 black folks in the bus with me, and I was the only one. And we paid our money, and we rented the bus, and we went to this trip. So I got a chance to talk to this teacher. He was a very nice man, and I can't really remember his name, unfortunately. It was like 20 years ago or something. So I said, why is it that I've been accepted into this, group of people so easily? And he said, "Why? You don't want to be here?" And I said, "No, I love being here, but I just want to know why. Like, why is it that I'm accepted so well?" And he said, "I don't really know, but I think it's because subconsciously," and this is a black man telling me this, he says, subconsciously, these kids know what it feels like to be different, to be treated different. And they know what it feels like to be outcasts to a certain degree. So they're looking at you, and they know that you can't judge them because of their skin color, and you can't be racist against them because of their skin color. So subconsciously, they drew you in among their ranks like that for that reason. And I just felt so grateful that I was a part of all that. Now, I'm not a white liberal. I'm far from it. I believe in black empowerment without white interference, and I think that's very important, but that's another topic for another day. I think that black people will be empowered, but it should be done at their own hand. I don't think it should be done with white folks messing with them and telling them what to do and stuff like that. So that's why you don't hear me talk too much about Black Lives Matter. To me, black lives have always mattered. They've always been important to me, but I understand why, and it's like, anyway, I'm veering off in a rant, but I think that black folks will be empowered, inshallah, very, very, hopefully sooner than later. And I think that it has to be done under their own leadership. I think that white liberals oftentimes mess up things when they get involved in it. And again, it's another topic for another day. But I wanted to learn about the friends that I had. I wanted to learn about their history. I really wanted to know about them because they treated me so well that I wanted to learn about them. And I learned about people. Learned about people like Nat Turner. Learned about ancient Egypt. Learned about ancient kingdoms of Mali. And I learned about all these different places and all these amazing countries in Africa and all these kingdoms. And I learned about modern history, like I said, Nat Turner And for those of you who can catch the movie Birth of a Nation, you need to see that. It was released last year, and it's about the life of Nat Turner. And I learned so much history about my friends, about my extended family, if you want to say it that way. But I also learned about an incredible person by the name of Malcolm X. This man who was born on May 19th, 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska, and who grew up in Lansing, Michigan, and Boston and other places in America, and literally, quite literally, saved my life. My spiritual life, to me, is more important than my physical life. That's much, much more important. And I learned about this man, rahmatullah alayhi, may Allah give him the highest places in paradise. I learned about this incredible human being and the things that he did and the things that he said in his life and his messages by any means necessary and all these different things that he said. And I knew that the message generally wasn't for me. Generally was not for me. I knew that. I knew that his message was for his people, and I respected that. But I still couldn't help but be enthralled by him, by the way he spoke and by the way he carried himself, even by the way he came out on stage and said, Assalamu alaikum. That would enthrall me. What is that? Assalamu who? What is that about? What's going on with that? So I had to learn that Assalamu alaikum, of course, as we know, means may the peace that can only come from Allah be upon you. And I was like, wow, that's better than what's up, that's for sure. So I just loved him. And I really did. And I wanted to be like him. And I knew that, again, his message wasn't for me in general terms. But at the end of his life, of course, he went to Mecca and learned that Muslims can be black and Muslims can be white. And when I heard that, I wanted to be a Muslim. Then I knew his message was including me to a certain degree. To a certain degree. So then I was so enthralled that I was actually included even a little bit, that I learned about Islam and I started learning about the oneness of Allah and started learning about Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and all these different people and all these different concepts. The concept of God, of Allah being one, unique in his oneness, complete in his perfection and incomparable to his creation. And I fell in love with that concept. And of course, you know the story. Those of you who know me know that on July 3rd, 1996, I took my Shahada, and then I started to realize that I was in a burning building. And I'm running through this building, and I'm running through, racing through, and speeding through, and every turn that I make has fire, and every single thing that I'm doing isn't right. It's kind of messed up until this amazing man, born on May 19th, 1925, gave me the key to the only door out of the burning building. And that key was, of course, we know, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There's nothing worthy of worship besides Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. So this is the man who saved my life. This amazing da'i who was doing da'wah before da'wah was cool. And I do what I do because now it's my turn. Of course, he was assassinated in 1965, 10 years before I was born. But it's still my turn because maybe someone is going to take that key from me. Maybe someone is going to learn how to get out of that fire because of me. And of course, indirectly, Malcolm saved myself from the hellfire, which in turn saved my wife, who took Shahada from me, who saved my kids, who are raised in a Muslim house now, who saved all their grandkids and all their great-grandkids and all these different generations, as long as they're in Islam, who gave them the option to get out of that burning building, which is La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. That, brothers and sisters, is why I do what I do. And I know my videos don't have a lot of fancy stuff. There's not a whole lot of graphics, and sometimes I botch the camera. I don't have a lot of songs and nasheeds and drums and all these different stuff in my videos. It's just me with a telephone and a camera, and that's about it. And I do what I do because just maybe someone is going to take that message. And Malcolm X, rahmatullah alayhi, never had flashy cameras and never had flashy songs and never had flashy nasheeds and flashy color graphics and 50 million views on videos. He never had any of that, but he still did what he did because he loved it so much and he loved his people so very much. And I've been blessed, of course, as you guys know, to travel the globe doing this. And it all started from one person who didn't even know that I was alive, who didn't know that I would be alive, that a little white, redneck, trailer park, blind kid would take his message and run with it. Now, so many others have done so as well. And those of you who are affected by Malcolm, you know what I'm talking about. He affected so many people. So many people benefited from this man's amazing message. Even though he didn't know the Arabic language like that, even though he didn't know verses of Quran like that, even though he didn't travel, well, he did actually do that, but he didn't study abroad like that. I heard he was supposed to, though. He didn't have the knowledge like that. But Muhammad ﷺ, of course, said, بَلِّغْنِي عَنِّي فَلَوْ آيَةً, convey for me even if it is one ayah. And all he had was the concept that there's nothing worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad ﷺ is Allah's messenger. That's what he knew. After he left the nation of Islam, when he went and made Hajj. That's all he had. He was Muslim for less than a year. Less than a year. Until he was assassinated and taken from us and brought back to Allah. And we ask Allah to give him paradise and place him among the martyrs and allow him to be among the righteous people in that highest part of paradise. Because I need you, brothers and sisters, to really learn about the life of this amazing person. Especially if you live here. Especially if you live over here. If you've decided to live in this continent of North America, especially, anyone should learn his life anyway, but especially the people who live here. Don't shout slogans unless you know about the people that you're shouting about. Don't pretend to take up black causes when you have no idea who black people are and what they've gone through. Muslims do that a lot. We wave banners on things and we shout a lot and we talk a lot, but we don't even know who the people are. And I think it's very important that we do that. We learn about these things. We learn about these events in history that shaped black people and made them who they are today. Before slavery until now. Because black history didn't start in slavery. That's an arrogant myth. So learn about the history of black people. Learn that Muhammad ﷺ, before Islam went to Medina, it went to Africa first. Understand how much of a status Africa has in Islam. Now, Muslims are not angels. And we've had a slave trade over the years that is, we're not angels. And again, it's not about that. But learn about the history of black people. And the people that adopted me that I literally owe my life to. Until now, I'm learning from black folks. Fareed Abdullah out in California. Abdul Rauf Shakir. Ibrahim Downey. Abu Shahada Foster. My wife. Of course, I mentioned her already. My Samaya. And you guys know how much I love her. Who taught me how to be a husband and how to be a father. I learned from Kenyans. I learned Swahili from them. I lived with them for a year. From Siraj Wahaj, who kept me in Islam when my Islam was very, very new. To Abu Muslima and Abu Usama and all the other black people throughout the world that have been teaching us over here in our language. In the language that we can understand. I've learned from so many of them over the years. Bilal Phillips, as you know. Abdul Hakim Quick. I could go on and on and on mentioning their names. But the one who started it all, the one who saved my spiritual life, was Malcolm X. Please learn about that. Please read the autobiography. You watch the movie if you need to, but the autobiography is his own words. So please read that and learn about how this man traveled from the beginning of his life in Omaha, Nebraska, until he died at the Audubon Ballroom in February 1965. Jazakumullah khair for watching, and please, like and share if you feel like it, and support my work. The video's right there. I know my work ain't flashy, and I understand that, but this is why I do what I do, because I have a key. I've been given a key from an amazing person, and that key is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah and all that is contained in that. And I'm going to share that until Allah decides to take my life. So join me, won't you? جزاكم الله خيرا. يقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
01919 Shutter.